Sleep can be delightfully, curiously, even disturbingly mysterious, especially the last if sleep does not seem to come to you naturally, fully, or when you want it. We've only very recently come to closely understand its nature and purposes. This allows us to loosely define sleep as a state of altered consciousness coupled with physical inhibition in which we become largely separated from sensory experience. This even as we might experience wild, mundane, fantastic, yet often insightful dreams. In the absence of this understanding, even with it, the mysteries of sleep have been the stuff of myth, typically given a dark hue in Western casts, just as you might expect of something that mostly happens in the night and in all its stillness can seem akin to death. It thus makes sense that the children of Nyx, the Greek goddess of the night, were Hypnos, the god of sleep, and Thanatos, the god of death, and that English poets, from the metaphysical Donne to the romantic Shelley, waxed on about the nexus of sleep and death. The adage, rest in peace, reflects this connection, even as it conveys an unintended meaning if wishing someone to have sweet dreams. We also find a mythologized view of sleep in ancient yogic thought, starting in the oldest known written source on yoga, the Rig Veda Samhita, from around the 15th century before the Common Era. There we learn of Ratri, the goddess of the night, and her sister Ushas, goddess of the dawn and daughter of Lord Surya, the inestimably powerful sun god. From Ratri, we get Navaratri, one of the great annual festivals in India, with 9 nights celebrating the goddess Durga's slaying of, quote, the demons of ego and greed, close quote, which, as we shall see, can play a part in sleep disorders. Ushas appears throughout the Rig Veda as a most revered goddess for giving strength, dispelling darkness, and illuminating the true nature of the world, even if only regionally worshipped today in India during the festival of Chath, which is all about giving thanks for light and the bounties of life. We might wisely explore such themes. These ancient myths often shaped rituals and other practices, including yoga, that were intended to make life better, including Surya Namaskara, the early dawn bowing to the sun deity, Surya, in the hope of his return to the sky each day. In the most ancient yogic writings, the Vedas and Upanishads, we find recurring discussions of sleep as an expression or indication of different qualities of consciousness. Various ancient to modern commentaries on these writings support often conflicting ideas about the nature of reality and consciousness, even if they all typically differentiate sleep, deep sleep, and awake states, and the sensory conditions in each as reflections or sources of spiritual being. All recognize that consciousness changes in these states in relation to sensory awareness or non-awareness, anticipating discoveries in neuroscience and modern psychology of sleep-wake states and dreams. We have learned more about the nature of sleep in the past generation than in the prior few millennia, helping to dispel myths in favor of reality. There's a note here. The insights of ancient yoga philosophy, theory, and practice arise from direct experience, intuition, speculation, and claims of divine transmission, sources, and methods that generally do not meet the standards of inquiry and evidence assumed in modern non-religious understanding. Thus, we find many postulates and practices that are unclear, contradictory, and lacking efficacy. We should not blame the ancient seers and writers for such theoretical, methodological, and empirical limitation, while holding contemporary sources accountable for their ideas, but nor should we accept their misunderstandings and ill-informed practices because of their limitations.